Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the Coriolis rules by Free League Publishing. This actual play is performed by adults and contains adult themes. Strong language, powerful factions, and adventures across the third horizon await. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., which may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your storyteller. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I am your storyteller, Michael Diamond. My pronouns are he, him, and we are back with another episode of Children of the Periphery. Before we dig directly into the meaty bits, I'd like to remind you that you can check out a bunch of stuff that we have to offer on patreon.com/the Old Ways podcast. And that we're over on YouTube. Please join in for all of our visual fun. And so now I'm going to get to cast introductions. So to my right.
This is Morgan, and I play Captain Amara Castro of the ship Skyskimmer. Our pronouns are she, her, and I didn't sign up to battle non-human constructs. I need more burr.
Yeah, about that whole money thing, Captain. We'll get to it later. Next to Captain Castro.
Hi, I'm Allie, and I play Kainat Gala. Our pronouns are both she, her, and I am currently a shish kebab.
Indeed. You have been stuck, and soon you'll be put on a spit and roasted, I'm certain, at the end of the table.
Hi, I'm John. I play the ship's mechanic Fida. We both use the he, him pronoun set. And, actually, I've been looking at the money, and I think we made money once so far in this campaign.
Yeah.
And our debt has not decreased substantially. Just something I think about.
And to Fida's right.
Hi, this is Rena. I play Tamarisk Anvari. Our pronouns are they, them. And I got a bit shooty last episode.
Yeah, you lived up to the role, right, ship's gunner? Except without the ship. And last but most certainly not least.
Hello there. I am Rosie of Odd Duck Dice playing Icarus. Our pronouns are she, her. I am the pilot of the Periphery. And is it good to be home? I mean, it's sharper than I remember. So that's something.
Yeah. I mean, you're still breathing and so far not riddled with a bunch of holes. So, I mean, there are some benefits therein. So we're going to pick up directly where we left off with the assembled crew in sort of this now smoking ruins of what used to be a palatial estate of their former patron, Liam Arhoon. You eventually extricate yourself, Kainat, from the wall. It takes some oomph, but you manage to pull the spear out of your body and away from the wall, and you sort of flop like a stuck fish onto the floor. That's really the first sound that any of you hear after the combat.
Squish.
You are hemorrhaging blood.
Oh, yeah. I imagine also close to passing out between shock and loss of blood.
Yep. So, crew, the charred corpse of one terrifying armored opponent now lay on the floor, still sort of jiggling and jerking with some of the electricity writhing through its form. What's everyone doing?
Grab the armor and take me back to the ship.
Yeah, Fida's kind of on the ground, just kind of looking back at this horrible foot machine. He's just wide-eyed, looking at the smoking husk and all the bodies that are still around, and the smell of death in the air is upsetting him.
Yeah, you are absolutely full on mental stress, so...
I sure am.
Am I able to give Fida a command?
You can command him, yes.
I'll look over him and... Fida, do you have that first aid kit? Kainat could use some assistance.
The head slow tilts over to the captain. Is like, yes, sorry. I can go over it. So would that counts as a command, Mike, for the purposes of making a skill check?
Yes. So the way it works is you can use either command or metacurgy. So to treat someone who's suffered a breakdown, if your roll is successful, the person you are calming down gains MP equal to the number of 6s they roll. So, Captain, go ahead and give us the actual roll for that if you would.
All right. So, okay, I'll reroll. I can spend a darkness point to reroll all my dice, right?
You can. Not spend, Captain, give.
Oh, give. I'm sorry.
You don't get to spend darkness points.
Fantastic. I got 3 successes on that.
Absolutely fantastic. That's a critical success. And so I'll roll this d6 for you, Vida. And that's 2. So I'm going to add 2 to the successes the captain has for 5. And so I'm going to wipe out 5 points of mental stress.
Whatever the captain said, it's really shaking him out of it, and he's kind of back in the moment. Yeah, now he's actually processing what he's seeing, and he runs over to Kainat. He's like, I don't think I should take the spear out right now. Probably going to keep that in you until I get you to the ship. It's going to wiggle around a lot, though, but there's not much else I can do. Sorry. I'm going to keep pressure on it and give her a painkiller. By which I mean give her an injection to get some hit points back, and then take her back for proper medical care.
Okay. You take out the syringe and you inject her with some metacurgy fluid, and then you can make a metacurgy roll.
Okay, 1 success.
Alrighty. So she does stabilize, which is good. So if you were at risk of dying, you are totally not at risk anymore.
Yay.
I've stopped the worst of the bleeding. Yay. It's really going to suck next time you have to go to the bathroom.
We'll work on it. It's fine. I imagine that I'm not actually conscious enough to do more than a pained groan.
There's definitely morphine in whatever I gave you.
Yeah, a lot of it. So the heal time for you under complete metacurgy care, which you're not getting right now, the heal time for you is 10 hours. So until that elapses, you are going to be essentially down dice on any force, strength, or melee combat roll you'll make.
That's okay. I don't have enough of that anyway. It won't matter.
Well, this would sort of go above and beyond the minimum 1 dice test for everything. You wouldn't even be able to test those skills, just so you're aware.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, Kainat seems to be being tended to. What are the rest of you doing during this time?
Looking for that drive that Marhoon had.
Okay. So that's wits observation to sort of search.
Okay. 2 successes.
Okay. You hunt through the workshop for quite a while. You don't locate the drive that you had found earlier and retrieved for her. This takes about 3 or so minutes for you to do.
We should be making our way out of here. Grab what you can. Vida, do you need help getting Kaina out of here? I can help you.
No, Captain, I got her.
All right. Is there any tablets or anything sitting around?
Yeah, there are a ton of tablets and things sitting around.
All right. I'm going to grab a bunch of them. Take them with.
Okay.
Yeah, Icarus is going to lower that hammer that she was preparing to try to smash the robot with. So that might look a little threatening, but she puts down and goes back into that room with beheaded boss lady to see if there's anything else, because she grabbed the computer because it was obvious, but she now has another minute, maybe 2, that she's going to give herself to see if there's other forms of information that she should snag.
Again, with just like throw with Tamara, so you make a wits observation roll if you'd like.
Nope.
Yeah. The 2 of you scour the room from head to toe, and you don't really find much here that isn't just, not that it's not interesting, but it's just the wrong path. It's not really what you're actually looking for.
Well, we should go.
Excellent plan.
Good. You head back out. Any stops on the way out?
I might actually take the spear out of Kainat to get her into the elevator.
Yeah, probably.
He's like, I'm really sorry about this. And then he's not going to give her time to ask what. And he just keeps pulling it through her in the same direction so that the blade doesn't have to go cut more.
Yeah, that is excruciating.
Yeah, it's not great.
Uh,
I also give Tamarisk some opioids for their head injury.
Oh, yeah. Tamarisk is bleeding down their clothes. All the luxurious fabrics and whatnot are definitely being, we'll just say, modified.
Yeah, there's not much to be done for them outside of like a Medicaid unit because of its head injury. So he's literally just like, hold this to your ear, giving them a dressing, and shoots them up with morphine and is like, good luck.
I can't wait to see Fida someday soon wield the staple gun.
The staple gun and the coagulant tubes.
The elevator heads back down to the docking bay. On the way down, your communicator beeps, Captain, and you hear her comms voice say, Captain, we have a vessel incoming. Fast.
All right. Get the ship started up, please, Rockcom, and we'll be there in, well, very shortly.
Okay. Better hurry.
Did you guys all hear that? We have incoming.
So you get to the bay, the elevator doors open, and you can see the sort of pre-flight process that the sky skimmer now is going through. And you hear the engines begin to whine a little bit and begin to warm fully. And the docking bay, which is open, did not close. You can see directly out. You can feel the wind at this height of the monolith. While it's not impeding your movement, you can definitely hear and feel the hype now. And right outside that open bay door, you watch. The best way to describe it is swim into view, because it's not flying directly at it. It seems to almost like come around the corner of the bay, and it's not really any bigger than the ship that you're on, and it begins firing into the bay. So autocannon rounds begin pelting the walls, shattering pieces of hardware and technology that are here. You watch your own ship get pelted with high-velocity auto-fire rounds. And so what I'm going to ask, all of your characters are going to need to make me probably a dexterity roll.
Okay, so storyteller, important question.
Yes, Fida will be making it for you.
Okay,
No pressure.
please don't drop me.
It's the best thing I can do sometimes.
Yep, I got 0 successes.
Okay.
Fida got 1 success to be shared between himself and Kaina.
Woohoo!
Half success.
Yeah, it's close enough. It rounds up.
I have 2.
Okay.
3.
Okay. So I am going to play a hand of fate for you, Captain Amara.
Awesome.
I will give you a success on this. And I suppose then it's really just like a shared success between Vida and Kainat that we have to worry about. So I think the best way to do this is by, of course, dice roll. And I like to flip coins in this regard to see which one of you might get hit. And so, as I would normally do on, say, a Delta Green Knight, John, I'll say heads or tails. Which one would you prefer?
I'll take tails, Mike.
Okay. Tails it is.
Boop.
So the nice part about that is I'll give you the opportunity to say one of the two of you is going to be struck by an auto fire round. Which one of you is it?
It's me. It's Fida.
Okay. So you have a success, so that'll stage down 1 die of the damage. There aren't enough tax successes to make it a critical, which is good. It's still 3 hit points worth of damage that you take.
Yep. Takes a big chunk out of his hip.
Yep. You get winged, and it forces you onto the ground. You collapse because of the impact of the round, which of course spills Kainat all over onto the deck. The rest of you who dodged, artfully or in a complete panic state, find a way to hide under something, get the ship between you and the attacking ship, but they're out in the open for anyone to see is 2 crewmates of yours. So now we get to sort of a pivotal question here in this encounter, which is who's going to continue onto the ship and who's going to try to rescue a crewmate?
Well, I'm going to go rescue a crewmate.
Okay, so Captain, which one?
Well,
Functionally speaking, Kainat is closer.
yep. And how injured is Fida? Was it just a scratch?
Winged, so it took a chunk of my hip, but it's not gonna kill me instantly, but, I can possibly crawl.
No. So you can still limp or crawl to the ship? Wonderful. I'm going to go grab Kaina to drag her to the ship.
Okay. And then Icarus and Tamarisk are... What's the plan? Are you continuing on to the ship, or are you going back?
Icarus is going to try to help Vida. He's massive in comparison to her, but she's going to try to at least help him up.
Tamarisk will try to help Icarus with Vida.
Okay, so I'd like dexterity rolls from the both of you. And then any dice over the initial success will give Vida some additional defense dice when this thing shoots again at him.
1.
Also 1.
So you're both helping, but just not helping. The nice part about this help for you, Vida, is that it's going to allow you to react and thus roll dexterity before the opposing ship gets a chance to shoot at you. So I'll go ahead and give that roll to you now.
Do I take any dice penalties, Mike, for being shot? I mean, it wasn't a critical, but if you want to...
It wasn't a critical, so I'm not going to impose any immediate penalties. You have a lot of juicy hip flesh.
If I have anything, it's juicy hip flesh. All right, 1 success this time.
Okay. So the 3 of you will end up clearing the space before the auto cannon goes off, which is good. So with you helping Kainat, I would like you to roll dexterity and agility for the both of you. And we'll see where that lies at.
Yeah, 1 success.
Which is all you need. The autocannon goes off. It rips through the deck plates here. It shatters screens and coolant tanks in back and punctures an assortment of electrical wiring nearby. A small fire begins at the back of the cargo bay. The crew hustles onto the ship. Some of you limping as best you can, bleeding your way back onto the bridge. What's the course of action the crew is going to decide to take?
I vote for getting out of here.
Icarus joins that vote. She doesn't even ask. She just moves as quickly as possible to the pilot's chair, and presumably Rakam is already working on getting them out of there, because I imagine he's not thrilled about being shot at. So she is essentially, as she's moving as quickly as possible, asking what he's gotten going already, what she can do to help get them moving.
Rakam's going to make a pilot roll, because he can do that. That's a nice roll. So your stomach turns, sort of does some flip-flops. Actually, most of yours do. The ship goes the opposite way you were expecting. It goes deeper into the cargo bay. And then you feel the first portion of like the body roll that happens on the vessel as Rakam tilts the vessel and tilts the nose of the ship back out towards the exit, towards the bay doors themselves. And at that point begins firing in response as you sort of dive towards your chairs and the engines give a full blast of their power and you rocket out of the cargo bay, continuing to fire. There is a metal on metal sound as the two vessels get close enough to scrape.
Rakam's gonna be so pissed off about that later on. He's gonna fucking hate it. Fida's just kind of like strapping down Kainat in the Medicaid unit, in the Medicurge, and he's just trying to apply like more coagulant to the, gaping flesh wound in her side.
Okay. You strap her down in the bed and you do your best to make sure that you can staunch the bleeding as best as possible. Icarus, I'd like a piloting roll.
I had a feeling you would. That is 3 successes.
Wonderful. That's a critical piloting roll. You gather the controls back from Rakam. I'll only ask, where are you going?
away.
Certainly, but in what direction?
In what direction? Yeah, I mean, forward and up. Presumably, the vessel that was firing on us, hopefully it's not the sort of thing that's going to try to follow us breaking atmosphere. Like, that probably answers your question. Like, out.
So you take the controls from Rakam and angle yourself up to breach the planet's atmosphere and then eventually the gravity well. Looking at your sensors in the rear view, the vessel behind you is running an open Legionnaire flag, and it is immediately consumed by a massive fireball that exits out from the cargo bay, as what is likely several thousand liters of fuel sitting in the cargo bay ignites and causes an explosion on the side of the Monolith.
Well, I'm glad we weren't in there.
All sorts of warnings begin to go off inside the ship, and they're mostly terrestrial alarms. You get an immediate stand-down message from the Monolith's traffic control system.
She very unceremoniously tells them to fuck off.
I don't think there's a button for it, but we'll just let it say that it happens. Okay, you're racing off planet now. Breaching the atmosphere does not take a ton of time. You'll probably breach the atmosphere and go into open space in maybe a minute and a half at this pace, Icarus. There are some other issues ahead of that, though. Rakam tells you that sensors are detecting that the blockade that was set by the nomads has been broken up, that some of the battleships have essentially pushed directly into their space, and although the nomads did their job at the time, they're not prepared to go toe-to-toe with some of these larger consortium battleships.
Yeah, well, okay. We're just gonna have to... We're gonna have to wing it. Let's have some fun.
Okay, so where are we going?
On that laptop, there was a nearby planet that had a signature of some sort.
You didn't really get too big of a chance to look at the information. You probably need to actually look at it.
Open it again? That would make sense. She's piloting, but presumably she can let go of the controls to look at it. If not, she'll... Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. You're not being tested in combat at this point. And so once you set a course, navigationally speaking, it's set until you decide to alter it.
Rad. She's going to open that, take a look, see if that can offer some direction. What breadcrumbs are we going for?
Well, there really aren't breadcrumbs at this point.
Okay.
There's really whole bits. There's a big piece of, baguette for you to chew on. So you see a system that you've heard about before. It's another chain in one of the trade routes here, and it's on the Algol route. So Algol is not terribly far. It's about 3 jumps to get to Algol. But the detailed planetary report is on a planet called Zamusa. Zamusa is 1 jump away from Algol. There is some complexity when it comes to getting there, but what you're reading is a planetary topology and underground thermal reading from Zamusa that doesn't make any sense. It can't be true. Because what it looks like is that this detailed information gives a cross-section of a portion of the planet's crust that's been removed. There's a big space underneath the planet that is a void.
Well, she blinks at that. And where is Captain Khazra?
I would assume she's on the bridge.
She asks the captain look at that and says that she is going to start a course in that direction unless the captain thinks they should go somewhere else.
Nope, I think that's a good plan. Whatever you need to do, Icarus, let's do it and do it quickly. Please. I half-ass add the please afterwards. I don't want to be rude.
Aye, aye, Cap. Okay. So we're not going to be stopping to talk to the Portal Authority. Do you need a roll from me to calculate that?
Yes. You'll need a roll to calculate the jump. And then you're also going to end up needing a piloting roll when you get to the portal, because you effectively have to blockade run this portal.
Yep. So that's a science roll?
It sure is.
It sure is. Yay.
Now, other people can help you with this calculation if you tell them about it.
She'll tell Rakam what she's doing.
Okay.
And her thought is probably that everyone else is super busy because she's pretty sure that she was the least hurt out of everyone in that combat.
Rakam can assist you with his skill and technically attribute roll. He can be subbed in for one system.
Cool.
I literally rolled 4 2s.
Let's see if I do it better.
You get nothing from the ship system.
Well, that's 3 successes.
That's good. That's a critical on your sciences mathematics roll to begin the calculation. Okay, so with the calculations set in, you'll need to impress me with a piloting roll to get past the portal station and essentially force activation of the portal.
Yeah, sure. What could go wrong?
And just so we're clear, there are currently 9 vessels waiting at the gate.
So, I'm sorry, gang. We're going to need to spend a darkness point, or give Mike a darkness point, to allow me to re-roll some of that, because I don't think 2 successes is going to be enough. Okay, and that's 6 total.
Very good. Okay, so you overcome the minimum 3 requirement to do this. And you do so and have enough successes to make the roll a critical. You sort of budge and get to the head of the line. You do so by essentially weaving between the ships that are there waiting for their jump, and you create a wake with your own engines to force them out of alignment. It's going to make a whole lot of pilots really mad. And then supersede and take the jump at your own discretion. Thing is, Kainat is in the metacurgy. She is bandaged and healing up. That means that she's not in the clamshell when you jump. I'm going to assume, and I don't want to, but I will, I'm going to assume that y'all get into proper jump space gear and whatnot to go on this. But I wonder, does anyone stop to think that Kainat can't go?
Yeah, Fight is just like, whoa, 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 whoa. That wound in a clamshell I won't be able to do. He's like, I don't know what'll happen to her wound in stasis. I don't know if the cryo will fuck with it or something. He's like, and look at Tamarisk, they're missing like their ears and bits. He's like slapped a like a dressing on his own hip, and he's just like, this is a major gamble to put these people in stasis in this condition. He's just like, I want it on the record that I've brought it up and that I have my concerns.
Yes, duly noted, but we need to go.
Glad they said that first.
They're so keeping it together for someone whose face is kind of like, because every time Fighter looks at them now, he's like, he is kind of like, okay, I can put Kainat into the clamshell. I just don't know how bad this is going to go.
Better than us dying.
Like, would I know if I can, like, heavily sedate her when I put her in?
Oh yeah, you can. You just know that there's a chance that between that and the cryo freezing and all of the other things that you get hooked up to, you don't know what the medical drawbacks to it could be.
Yeah, it turns out not many people do this. It's not really been tested before. It's not part of the standard testing for those cells, for the clamshells.
Right. That's right.
She's out cold. I'm going to basically inject her full of the regeneration. Whatever I can get that in the Medicarriage that will cause maximum growth to try and bridge the gap and like leave her clamshell till the last possible second. He's got everybody else in and he's just next to her doing a countdown. He's waiting on Rakam to tell him when's the last possible moment before he can get himself in.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Rakam will help count it down with you.
The alternative of leaving her out of stasis is not on the table.
Okay. You prepare her for stasis. The clamshell starts to close at about 15 seconds too.
Yeah, and I just like roll over into my own and just slam the button for closing it up, and it's just like, come on.
You see the holographic projection of Rakam in the room. He's just sort of standing against one wall, waiting and watching. He looks pretty anxious.
And Fight is just like looking at him with like the whites of his eyes are showing, and he's just like, he's not saying anything. He's just looking at Rakam like, here's hoping, buddy.
He waves goodbye to you, Fida.
Fight just gives him a thumbs up as the clamshell seal takes, and then just like feels the gases fill.
Unconsciousness arrives for all of you soon after. The darkness arrives after. You're not really sure how long you're in the clamshell for. It feels reasonably fast. The auto ejection system engages and the clamshell opens on its own. Rakam is not in the room.
Yeah, Fight is just like, oh, fuck. First thing to do, do you want me to do a force strength check to kind of see if I've got my feet under me?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable if you're going to move immediately.
All right, one success. Enough to be on my toes.
Yeah, enough.
My first priority is checking Kainat.
Luckily, she seems to have made it through okay. At least physically, you don't see any physical changes from what you've encountered.
Once he is ascertained, she is breathing. She is not deceased. I'm watching everyone else's clamshells kind of and like slowly lift. And he's just like, Rakam?
Yeah, I'm on the bridge. I'm dealing with problems.
Yeah, I'm going to do my best to get everybody else on their feet, just because this is not going as well as one might have hoped.
Yeah, you're all as you would normally be as you have to get out of this cryo sleep. You're groggy. The world feels way too fast. Your body is moving at a different speed.
Rakam is on the bridge, and we have issues.
Icarus is trying to move as quickly as possible, but I get the feeling that she's telling her body to move faster than it is. So she probably trips a couple of times, and there's a lot of cursing.
Oh, yeah. You do eventually get to the bridge. You don't believe what you see when you get there, but you get there. It appears that there's a massive fleet of ships sitting on the other side of this portal. It's huge. It's 50, 60 vessels waiting, all different types of configurations, from medium to small freighters to light frigates, that sort of thing. They're all sort of disjointed in this strange, motley pattern across here.
Well, fuck. Have we been hailed at all? Are they firing at us?
You're not being fired at least that you can tell when you get here. There are several pending messages.
Okay, she starts opening them, and over our internal comms is like, Captain!
You have received about 17 hails.
We need some authority figures on the bridge, please.
Yep, I stumble out of the clamshell and make my way up to the bridge. Well, probably still in my clothes because we didn't have time to change in anything else, so...
Okay. Yeah, the array of ships here is almost... I think it is stunning for you two, Captain, seeing as many vessels as there are. The saving grace appears to be that none of them are that standard consortium Legionnaire style vessel. You don't see any big white skulls on any of them. And the hailing messages appear to detail many of the same thing, which is they're essentially orders. All of them are asking you to clear the portal mouth at the earliest convenience.
Oh, well, that's less intimidating. God, look at me. Yeah, we do that.
Because clearly, there's a delay as far as the ship's control. You begin to move the vessel and then slowly get out of the way of this massive trade fleet, maybe? Maybe that's what this is? There's a couple of portal authority messages. The ship has been essentially marked and notified that it has illegally jumped through a portal, and it will be notated in the portal authority log and transferred on to whomever is the owner of the vessel.
She deletes it. She deletes that message. It doesn't matter.
Okay. So you find yourself now on this side of this system, now a jump away from Kua. You have to get through Awadi until you get to Al Ghul, and so you have another 2 jumps before you even get close to Zamusta. And because of that, I don't want to necessarily bog the narrative time down with each jump. And so I guess what I'll ask is, each jump and the movement thereafter is going to spend some time. What I'd like to know from each crew member is how they're going to spend that time. We'll say it's roughly about 8 hours worth of time.
I am trying to patch everyone up. I think Fida didn't realize that Icarus had a wound because she's been kind of keeping busy, and he's also had Kainat to worry about and doing his best for everybody, and he's got a wound himself, and he's just like, oh boy, it's a busy day in the Metacurge.
Okay, so you're going to spend some dedicated time in the Metacurge. Captain, what are you doing with your time?
I'll be going through those tablets that I brought back with me from Ms. Marhoon's former estate.
Okay, so a couple of things that you learn. You learn that someone did take over the accounts of Leah Marhoon. And that is a patron, a more scientifically directed patron, and that would be a woman by the name of Dr. Wana. She works for the Trade Federation and is definitely another Zenithian scientist. You learn a few other things, though. It looks like Marhoon had been trying to deflect or redirect several different attempts to locate the Periphery during its first journey, including some very direct prying by members of the consortium, her own faction. They were trying to find the vessel for whatever reason. She doesn't really go into the why in some of her replies, but she starts off very simply with the attack that, the vessel has been placed at a private dock and it's getting maintenance done to it. It's not available. And then you see a lot of, we'll just say a lot of more terse messages. So you know what it's like when you trade messages with a person where things start out really pleasant, and after like the 4th or 5th back and forth, you realize that the messages, the flowery portions, were just a facade. And some of the people within her own faction begin pressing really hard to not only have the ship seized, but the crew seized.
Oh, well, maybe she wasn't as bad as that first impression gave.
Perhaps. So we know what Fida's doing, and then that'll go to Tamarisk.
Well, after I get my face patched up as best as possible, going to spend time praying and then meditating in the Arboretum, because my face really agitated and upset by it, and this is not very helpful right now to be in this state of emotion, so I need to be calming down. But my face!
Yeah, you have been given effectively a cheek to, say, temple scar that runs up the side of your face and sort of cracks along the way. It is not what you would call becoming, and it does sort of clip one portion of the top part of your ear, and you have been, some might consider, disfigured.
Oh, I definitely consider it that. Very much consider it that. So I'm very upset by all of this and what it could possibly mean for my career, and can I get reconstruction surgery to deal with this, and just need to be calmer. We don't have time to be focusing on this, but
Okay, that will leave us Icarus.
Well, she makes sure to grab a couple cat naps in there in between calculations and plotting courses, because we've seen what happens when she doesn't do that. She's also going to make a point of saying to her comp, see, I got back alive. Probably make sure that everybody eats something, because she feels really bad.
Yeah. The crew does get a chance to eat, and they get a chance to heal up, relax, etc. You all have a chance to heal physical boxes of damage that you've been given over the 8 hours. There are more than enough options for Vita to make metacurgy rolls and to stitch people back together. It is a little, for some of you, especially those of you who have maybe like 3 to 5 boxes of damage, it's a little slow going that first 8 hours. You make enough jumps, and at the end of it, you find yourself in the Algol system, and it is a wide open and somewhat impressive array here of information and machinery. So there's a lot of potential on Algol, but the one thing that is concerning about being in orbit or being anywhere near this place is that this is the sort of place that you would have heard about already, Icarus, and probably you too, Fida, being folks who are well connected into the shipping lanes. Folks who have mechanical breakdowns in Algol end up staying here, not of their own will. They get sort of put into a different sort of market system here, one which takes away their rights and makes them effectively, subjugated people. And this is sort of one of the real tough bits that the First Come and the Zenithians fight about. This is the stuff that the trade federations and some of the Zenithian syndicates, this is the arm that they use to become powerful. And the First Come are against it, like to their core. But the Zenithians were the ones who went out and captured the planet and thus use it to rule. It does give you also the time, Icarus gives you to dig into any additional information on the laptop, the tablet that you took from Marhoon, should you choose to.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. And we need to make another jump to Zamusa past Algol. Is that where we're ultimately heading?
Yeah, Zamusa is the end goal. If that's where you're heading to, the place where the data is showing.
Yes. Ideally, but I assume we're all really, out of it, tired. Just wanted to make sure that I knew where we were going.
If I see the data for the planet with the big old void in the crust, does that look familiar, Mike?
Yeah, it looks really familiar. Sort of stuns you a little bit to see.
Seeing it on a screen rather than just knowing what it looks like in my brain is weird.
Uh-huh.
He's just like, I don't care for that. This is going to keep happening to me too. Yeah, he explains to everyone. So the thing was that the darkness is in space, and they wanted a gateway that it couldn't access. And he just points at the screen and he's like, so they put it there. That's the gateway out of the third horizon to where the portal builders went. And he's just saying with absolute certainty. He's just like completely steady as he says it.
So the data appears to show, at least from what you can read through, because there's quite a bit of it, it does appear that what Fida is talking about is true. That there is a unreported portal inside the planetary gravitational well and the planet's surface itself on Zamusa. You get more than that, though. You get a little bit of a readout on the person leading the project. There is a scientist, a consortium scientist named Altan Beni, and he's a fairly well-known bureaucrat. That's more for Tamaris than really anybody else. He travels in a lot of higher society circles, those that are scientifically bent. He is a scientist in the purest of senses. You would be shocked if he had any real religious belief.
When you say leading the project, what does that actually mean? Is he just leading a project that happens to be on Zamusa, or is he doing something with the unfinished portal?
That's a fantastic question, so I'll answer it. It does appear here in this data, the data that Marhoon has collected, is that Altan's goal, his main purpose, is to rebuild the portal. It appears that it was deconstructed. To rebuild and activate the portal, and then send something through.
She makes sure to share that with Fida.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, that's not good.
The original report was issued 3 cycles ago.
Oh boy. Well, at least he didn't know what I know. So figuring that out that'll take a lot of time, even if he is genius level smart. Just that's kind of cold comfort, because they're going to be fucking with it and might make it explode.
They might just break it.
He's like, no, they could do something really, really stupid, like put it in space, because that's where all the other ones are, and that way you can put a ship through it. And he's just like, you can put a ship through? Oh, son of a... And he like literally picks up a pen and throws it against the wall. He's just like, that stupid motherfucker. Ah! No, they want to turn it into a thing so they can sell shit. They want to sell kettles. But they're going to bring... Fida's initial thought had been, escape route for humanity. Hurrah! And now it's... Oh no, they're going to bring the darkness through. Oh, that is bad. Capital B.
I mean, the question is, though, are they... I don't think they would try to be doing that on purpose. They don't know.
If he's as skeptical as you say, he's not going to believe us when we tell him, oh, by the way, there is a sentient dark... You know what the religion says? Yeah, that's actually right.
Well, he's going to be really interested in you, though.
And Fida's like, interested with a scalpel and interested in a person are 2 different things.
Well, I mean, he's not going to get anything from you if you're dead, right? I mean, so we're going to have to leverage that?
Fida's just like, oh my god, what are we going to do? He's just like, what if he figures out, what if he just wants my genes? What if he just wants my body? Because if it's all recorded in me, this is a bit of a moment. He's not handling it super well.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah, Icarus lets him just kind of chill for a minute, and I'm imagining for some reason them having this discussion in the sort of common area in the kitchen, and he's freaking out a little bit. She brings him some tea and like tries to get him to sit down and just sort of hold the mug of tea for a minute while he's not having a great time.
So the detailed information, because obviously the drive is really big, it continues to go into a lot of the information about his research there and the time spent going through and recreating this portal, which doesn't operate at all like any of the other technology you've experienced. There's no sort of little building off to the side in this big void. There's actually a physical portal. And in the detailed portions of this report that you read over the time that you have, one portion of this sort of comes very clear, is that the consortium has been building a vessel to traverse this portal. It's rather large.
maybe they're going to try to just get all the Zenithians through?
Say, Mike, does it look like it might be, I don't know, kind of like a colony ship?
You know, John, it's interesting you say that. It does appear to be sort of acorn-shaped.
It was more like a seed ship.
Yeah, sort of.
They're going to bring it through. That's the entire reason it's built on a planet under the crust. Like, he just keeps muttering about this. He's like, the entire reason it is there this way is to stop the entire thing they're going to cause. They're going to wipe out a species because they were stupid and greedy. He is just kind of, the tea is left on the table. He's just kind of full of energy and nervous tension.
I'm not a people person. I'm really not great with people, but I think you're stressed and you're really worried. Honestly, you're the best person to explain to anyone why this is a bad idea. So instead of, and she mimes what he was doing, essentially stomping up and down the kitchen and freaking out. Why don't you think about how to convince them instead? Maybe talk to someone who's better at talking to people than I am to figure that out. Like the captain's good at it, Tamarisk is good at it.
Nobody else has had a chance to get a word in edgeways because he's just like a maniac.
Yeah, definitely. I can see the maniac person.
Tamarisk is usually the one to calm people down, but they've been too preoccupied with himself for the moment. They're half listening, but they're also just deep in their own brain. So we're going to try and talk them out of it. That's the plan we've got.
It's just like, Captain, I propose something much more radical. I think we should try and destroy their colony ship.
Why don't we destroy the portal?
He's like, I mean, technically I have all the stuff in here on paper to do it. I've just never done it. So I don't actually understand it really. I guess because the energy of blowing up a portal would be, he just gets this like really distant look in his face as he's accessing that part of his knowledge. Like, I'm assuming that the energy of blowing up a portal would, nothing in that system would survive, because you're talking about blowing up a black hole machine.
Kind of, yeah. You're talking about taking a portal, which in sort of your own knowledge essentially rips a hole in space-time, and then shutting it down. It's impossible to know what the effects might be. Lose the planet, very likely, given the fact that most planets have pretty heavy dense cores plus whatever, surround them. Anything on the planet, sure. Anything on the surrounding moons might be potentially a problem. It's not just as simple as saying blow up the portal. That's super dangerous.
He dips his finger in the tea and he puts it down and he's like, this is the planet. And he dips his finger again and he just draws a huge circle around the planet. He's like, and this is the area of explosion, if at minimum, that I think would happen if you blew up the portal. Plus, I mean, that portal is our way out of the third horizon. It's just that we've got to go through on foot. He's like, no, they want to put a ship through, and that's the dumbest possible thing they could do, because something else will come through. And he's just like, oh my god, if they even put it in space, that might be enough. I don't know if it'd have to be fired up by the icons. Why would they do this?
All right, so I guess blow up their ship? Or do we want to try to talk them out of it first and then blow up their ship? Or set the charges on their ship and then have a talk? And if they don't go for what we're selling, then blow up their ship?
It's 3 more jumps to get there, right?
Oh no, not anymore. It's one jump to get there.
He's just like, I've got all the data. I've written down everything I could of half of what I know. And now that I know the other half, I can type it up and send it to them. They might understand. But it's not the same because our language is different. They communicate. If one of them says good morning to another, they convey a lot of stuff that's not just the greeting. There's an awful lot of extra information in how they communicate that translating it would be lost. The head is in the hands, and he's just like, it's just a lot.
All right, so we're blowing up their ship.
He's like, maybe we could convince them, but honestly, I feel like we might need some... Do you think that anyone religious in this group wouldn't have already brought up, like, hey, this is kind of what you're doing is not great? My worry is that we'll be ignored and captured, and then it'll all happen, and we won't be able to do anything. But, that all the resources could be taken from this project. We could use it, just not the way they want to.
Altan is a scientist, not religious. If we have to get violent, I like your third idea, Captain. Set the charges and then try to talk to them and use that as leverage. But if the point of completing the portal is to get people out of here, to save inhabitants of the Third Horizon, then they can still do that. They just can't have it outside the planet. So all we need to do is tell them, hey, you can still do this thing. You just need to put it back.
He's just like, no. If they even have it in space, I don't know if once that thing is taken out, it can be put back.
Oh.
It's a kind of gin in a bottle situation.
Yeah, okay.
Seems like a fantastic time to end to me. So you have a gin and you have a bottle. I guess we'll all find out very soon what happens when it gets opened. So thank you for joining us on this episode of Children of the Periphery. We greatly appreciate your listening ears. Thank you, and good night.